Hello everyone, I'm Jordan the Cat 11 and welcome to another commentary video. And here with me is a very special guest. Please introduce yourself.
Hey, it's the Imagine V. How's everybody doing?
I know I'm doing good. Nice to have you here with me.
Yeah, so we're talking
Anyway,
about some Sonic Universe 60 here.
Yep, and actually, for those who are pretty much new to my channel and have not seen this, this was actually my very first official comic drama that I did, like, way back in the day. 2014, actually. Wow, time flies.
Yeah, it's, well over 3 years old, so it's always weird to go back and, like, watch some of these old videos, because I just watch and I'll hear myself, and I'm like, God, I sounded terrible in this.
You sounded terrible. Excuse me. Like, are you listening to how I'm narrating this right now? Like, I did not have as much vocal range as I did I did not have as much vocal range back then as I do now, and it's incredible seeing how far I've come since then, and it's just like, wow.
Yeah, I mean myself too, like, I am also looking at it, like, from just, you know, I think I used, like, my Nessie, which I just got around this time, which, this is, like, you know, recording under a blanket. It sounds okay at the time, but I'm going to, like, this XLR, like, the setup I'm using right now, and I just hear old versions of stuff I was on with that mic, and I'm like,
Yeah. And I'm technically using the... Oh, hey, Mela. He did a good job as Black Death. I'm glad you recommended him for this project.
Yeah, I forgot he was Black Death in this. It's been a while. But yeah, he's doing a really, really good job.
Yeah, same. But anyway, like, right now, I'm using this very old blue snowball mic that I had, like, a couple years back, because at the moment, it's all I have right now. I did have, like, the CAD U37, but the wire's not really cooperating, and I just need a new mic in general, so it'll probably sound better post-edit.
Yeah, and oh yeah, Brandon was in this too. I'm just remembering, like, everybody who was in this.
Yeah, he was Andrews, I was Rouge, and honestly, like, I kind of did use a voice filter to try to make myself sound a bit older, but I guess it kind of didn't really work as well. If you went to Dub Matters and listened to, or more like watched the, it's the Sonic Forces Looming Shadow dub that we did. I did voice Rouge in that, and it does sound a little bit better than how it did in this, but I still don't feel as confident about Rouge as I do with my other voices.
Yeah. It's just sometimes too, like, I think everybody can kind of relate to that. Like, when you're, like, really starting out this sort of thing, like, you kind of like, oh, I could use all these cool effects, and I can do everything with my voice, and, like, the further you go in, the better you get. You find, you're like, hey, I shouldn't use these or rely on them a lot, but, you know, for some characters, like, or the very odd time, like what I have with the clips here, like, he's like an alien, so I think he would have like that weird kind of dual voice effect thing, or what I've done with robotic characters like Shard or something, like, when it actually calls for it. But I remember times, like, I think when I used to do, like, Mammoth Mogul, I would, like, put a deepening voice on the effect, and now I'm like, if I ever revisit it, which I have used that voice in other means, but, like, I don't use the deepening effect anymore, because, like, it's just, I can get low and make it still sound, like, nice like that, but just, making it, like, all deep just was too much. Oh, man.
Yeah, I get ya. Yeah, another thing about this video is that this was one of my first times, like, putting in, like, a full audio editing skills, and I had no knowledge whatsoever of how to lower the peaks other than to just try to lower the volume, which I remember you saying, like, in the preview of this, your voice was too quiet, so I tried really hard to try to make you sound heard, but I kind of went overboard.
Yeah.
But no, nowadays, I actually know the correct tools. Like, I know how to put in equalization, compression, normalization, and I know how to limit the peaks properly now, so it doesn't sound as ear-rapey, as they say.
Yeah, I do that all before I put stuff into Reaper if I'm putting together a comic dub, so, like, now and then when I'm in Reaper itself, you can actually, like, kind of click on line samples by themselves and normalize them, so you can kind of make them all, like, as loud or as quiet as they need to be, just to make sure, like, nothing sounds too loud, but nothing sounds too quiet either, so you don't have anything getting eaten up by music or sound effects.
Yeah, for sure. Well, anyway, we did get a little bit on a tangent, but voicing Omega is an old friend of mine. His name is he used to be known as Alex Gamer 57. I don't know what he's nowadays. I haven't really talked to him in a while. Crispy Dude is the voice of Shadow, who actually has gotten a lot better with his Shadow voice lately. And, of course, you as Eclipse.
Yeah. I think I did Eclipse for Shadow for one, like, about a year or two after this. It was one of the first things I remember using this current mic I have for, which, I think I did, like, a more reserved take of him, where I dialed back the voice a bit, where I did kind of, I still kind of applied the idea of, like, Eclipse should still be very Shadow-esque. So I think I just kind of took to heart, like, maybe, like, Shadow's, like, Japanese voice, and I kind of just did that sort of tone to it. So now, like, you know, it's very dark, but, like, I have a bit of a class to it.
Yeah, I get you. That's a really good take and approach.
Yeah.
Alright, I guess all I can say is, like, of course this has been a long time since, this was made, and probably when the last time you saw this, but, from what you remember from back then, what would you say were your favorite parts about this comic drama in general?
While I am hearing, like, how I'm doing this particular, like, little, monologue part, there are parts, like, I do like how I did them, but I think I could still, like, touch it up a lot. Like, again, I think going back, like, the performance I would do now, like, I'd probably do a little bit more held back, where I think I got a little bit more pumped out, if that makes sense. Like, it was a little more amped up than it probably should have been. But I really do like over, like, how I did this for the time.
Yeah, I think you were one of the strongest voice actors that I've had on the team, and I'm really glad I got you on board for this.
Yeah. Maybe this will be something random, like I revisit, like I'll do an updated version of this Eclipse monologue, because this is a really fun one to do, and if you want to ever try Eclipse, like, look for something like this or good monologue sort of things. Like, this is just a good way to, like, actually try to get into a character and really play around with, like, what kind of emotions you can pull off in that character voice.
Yeah, I agree. Let's see. I guess I'll talk about, like, what got me into wanting to dub this in the first place. Part of it was your Eclipse voice, I will admit, because I really loved how you did him back then, like, hearing your voice demo for him. I think before that, this was back when I was reading the Sonic comics. I don't really read them anymore, because, like, I stopped keeping track of them a long time ago, but, Team Dark is one of my favorite, team characters in the Sonic franchise, and I picked some of these up a while back, and I really was intrigued by the story, especially this one, and that's kind of the reason why I just stuck to this one, other than the fact that some people were already dubbing it, so I wanted to just try to claim one that wasn't being used.
Yeah.
But no, I just really like the story in general, and it's pretty strong and dark.
Yeah, I do like how it is inspired by, like, Shadow the Hedgehog, like the game itself, where, you know, that wasn't the best story, but it's kind of cool that it got a follow-up, and I think they did it justice. Like, they were able to bring back the Black Arms, make it a little more interesting, add a little bit more depth to just like, oh, we're an evil alien race, we're coming to take over the world, cause reasons, also we made Shadow. But this one actually flushes that out a lot.
Yeah, I'll also admit, Shadow the Hedgehog was a guilty pleasure of mine back when I was younger.
Yeah, I played it a lot myself. Like, it's not a good game, honestly, but I don't think it's that bad. Like, it's like, it's really, like, it's touchable. Like, it's like how Forces is, where it's like an average game. I find a little bit more good than bad with Forces. This one is like, I found a little bit more bad than good with Shadow, but I still enjoy parts of it enough to like, yeah, this was alright.
Yeah, same. Alright, I will point out one little nitpick that I had with just the comic in general. Like, I don't know why, but in my vision, I feel like when Shadow's being possessed, he should have, like, you know the white part of his eyes, the sclera? I feel like they should be black instead of, like, white, because then it would kind of match how the black arms would look, or at least with Eclipse.
Yeah, like kind of have a glowing eyes, or I would even say like maybe take his pupils out altogether, just have like white. Like that would look cool too.
Yeah, true. But again, that's just a personal nitpick, not important.
Yeah. I like how I did that one line before where I was like, you know, actually doing like I was being strangled and like just coughing and hacking up stuff like it's like welcome to the fold, brother. Now I must go attend to my windpipe.
Like, oh man. Oh man, these panel transitions are like so slow, but then again that's the price you get for using Windows Movie Maker. That was what I relied on back then, but nowadays,
yeah.
Well, I used to use Premiere Pro until I lost my Adobe programs. Now I use iMovie, which isn't as great, but it still does it justice. So anything better than Windows Movie Maker is good on my book.
Yeah. I mean, I'll let y'all in a little secret. I was using Movie Maker like up until like a couple months ago. Like I just got Sony Vegas, so I've used it for a couple small things here and there, like that last Deadpool thing I did. If you've seen my channel, I did this little stupid meme comic that was like the sock puppet meme, but it was like Yu-Gi-Oh! So Tyler and I did that, and I'm using it right now for Shard Nicole memory, but even like up till like part 4 of Silver Age, I just used Movie Maker on that, but that was kind of a choice. I'm like, I just want to get Silver Age done. I feel like I'll save like using a new program like when I'm fresh with like a new project, not like using it in the middle of an arc, so I decided just like use it one last time for that, and then moved over to this, which you can do at least enough with Movie Maker to get by, but it's just very, very limited. I'm already loving in Vegas how like I can actually have like better transitions and like different things to do.
Yeah, I agree. Same thing with iMovie. The transitions are much smoother. Sometimes they do get a little quick when you're using certain motions, but other than that, it's much better.
Restrain your equestrian mammals. I love that line.
Yeah, okay, I realized too late what that meant, and I didn't realize he was saying hold your horses.
Restrain your equestrian mammals.
Hi, Amber. But yeah, no, it's really surprising to see how far I've actually come since I first got started on this channel. Like, I'm not trying to brag or anything, but right now I have like almost 19,000 subscribers, and I'm just like, whoa, how did this happen? And like, I've been on YouTube for 5 years, and what more can I really say other than I'm blown away by how far I've come with, you know, editing, video-wise, audio-wise, how well I've worked with certain people like you, like my boyfriend, Hyper Voice Acting, etc., etc.
Yeah, it kind of just blows you away after like when you do these like types of things, or just even like when you just advance yourself in just doing voice acting or any sort of like creative stuff like this. Like you look back at like, this is what I started doing, like, but now it's you come back like, man, this is really good. It's nice to see like there has been like a good amount of progress like over the last several years. Like I can go back to like maybe the beginning of like the Mega Man 3 arc I did, or like Sonic Universe 50, and come to like say maybe the last couple of parts of Silver Age and be like, man, this is like night and day, like how much this has changed.
Another thing I'm glad oh yeah, thanks for the easy job. But
yeah, thanks for the
another thing I'm really glad I improved. Sorry, you go.
Oh no, it's fine.
Anyway, I was gonna say, one other thing I'm glad I improved on, thank God, is the music selection. Like, I had no clue what I was gonna try to use for this soundtrack, and then I tried using all Sonic songs because I thought I had to limit myself to them, but no, I could. You told me, and a lot of others told me, that I could just expand my range, and you did help me with some of the song selections, which I'm very grateful for. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's a thing that Tyler hammered into me, like, when I started doing these myself. Like, you don't, just because it's a Sonic thing doesn't mean you have to use all Sonic music. If there's a song from a like Sonic that fits really well for a part, then absolutely go and use it. Like, I still am fine, like, using it in little spots here and there, but you know, it's just nice to diversify, and it actually shows people like what your music tastes and stuff are. Like, I'd say again with Silver Age, I used a couple Sonic songs here and there. Like I used some stuff from like Temporal Duality, which is an OC remix album based around Sonic CD. So I use that for like when Wunschfelmer is showing off all his sweet little inventions, or I dipped into Mania and used like Titanic Monarch Zone for the first section of Part 4 when they're trying to figure out a plan to beat the second Devourer. But I've grabbed stuff from like Battlefield 1, like My Hero Academia was a big thing. It's like various like animes and games that I enjoy, but there's like a few that stick out in my mind of things that I used. Wolfenstein, The New Order, and The New Colossus I've dipped into a little bit as well, because it worked really nicely for that just because of like the whole dystopian future setting, and it's like kind of the same idea from that. Like, I think you just kind of have to think of like what the setting and the tone is you're looking for. Like, this is a lot of like sci-fi, dark, maybe a lot of like techno-y sort of stuff, and like just think of, okay, what's something I enjoy that, you know, has this type of music and does it really well, and then be like, bam.
Yeah, and actually that's something that our friend MMichael154 told me when I was working on, what was it called? It was Journey to the East Parts 3 and 4. Like, he said, try to find some music that you think matches with the theme, and whereas with those two, I was able to find some East Asian music, some from places like Okami, Onimusha Blade Warriors, stuff like that, and it really worked out well. Or, like, for my Bendy comic dubs, I try to find something darker, eerie, if it's a scarier one, or if it's more comical, then I go for the more comical stuff. Most of the music I try to find nowadays comes from, like, Incompetech.com, Audio Library, or something like that, just to keep it at the general side. But
yeah,
if there is like a certain video game that I know has good music, like say Little Nightmares, then I would pick from there and just give it a good listen to make sure that it's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, I try to just vary from like various series, but obviously like if you're doing this yourself, just as always, like make sure you're crediting things properly just to keep everything safe. Like, hey, if you like this is where it's from. Especially with, like, say, fan-created music or remixes of things.
Oh, yeah, of course. Of course.
Yeah. I think one favorite piece of music that I used for a thing of my own was, the end of, like, my Redshift dub, where I found this really good, like, anime-inspired theme of, like, from Rockman Holic, which is, like, it was a lot of, like, Mega Man-inspired pieces. And I listened to, like, this thing that was based off, like, Mega Man 5's, like, Proto Man's Castle theme, so it's just, and they turned into like kind of like a nice little anthem for Proto Man. So I enjoyed using that for just like when Proto Man, like, Breakman Blue smashes his visor off his shield, his helmet, and then he just says like I'm Proto Man, and then it just kind of cuts into credits.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, we finally reached the end of the video, so we may as well reach the end of this commentary. I just want to say, for those of you who are watching, thank you so much for the support, you know, for watching this, for watching the comic drama, etc., etc., and I'm really glad we finally got to do a commentary on this. I meant to do one, like, maybe a year or two ago, but either things have gotten busy on my end, or I just lose motivation or whatnot, but I'm really glad I got to revisit this, and thank you, Andrew, for joining me.
Oh, no problem at all. Doing these are fun. I might actually do one in the future for one of my old videos, or maybe like a portion of them.
If you do, I'll definitely watch them, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll have to talk to some people.
Well, anyway, until next time, I'm Jordan the Cat 11.
And I'm the Imagine V.
And we'll see you all next time. Bye-bye, guys.
Adios.